Warning, you are about to hear a discussion that may make you a little bit uncomfortable, but I always say, I think that's good. It will be perhaps raw for you, but it's real. It's today's reality surrounding the landscape facing our vulnerable kids and teens. We're going to be talking about perhaps a little bit about suicide. You always have 988 as the suicide in crisis lifeline. Everybody should have that handy, memorize it like we memorize 911, 988. And we're also going to be talking about a new campaign. We've got a lot to get to. And once again, we've got our great warrior friend here, Erich Mische, joining us. But Erich, before I even let you talk, I must give a little bit of your background because it really is incredible. And I always want to share that with our warriors. Erich is a veteran. I'm going to call him that, a veteran nonprofit leader, communication strategist, and child safety big time advocate, widely recognized for his campaigns, very innovative, protecting kids in the digital age. As executive director of SAVE, SAVE, that would be Suicide Awareness Voices of Education. That is why I'm telling you, Warriors 988, keep that handy. Erich has led national efforts to address youth mental health, suicide prevention always, and digital safety challenges head on. In his partnership with SAVE, I should say in partnership with SAVE, Erich has led safety organizations and helped launch Kids, KIDS. That's what we're going to be focusing on today a little bit. Keep it digitally safe. We have a toolkit. It's first of a kind resource designed to empower parents, educators, communities, everybody to recognize online threats and promote very healthy, we need this, Erich, digital habits for kids and teens, for everybody, but we're focusing on the kids and teens. The kids, we're going to talk about this toolkit a little bit more. It is packed with evidence-based guidance and easy-to-use materials. And we have a big day coming up, Father's Day, Erich, June 15th, Global Warning Label Day, making a critical step in the fight to protect young people from the dangers of everything online, cyberbullying, online exploitation, and social media addictions. Erich will continue championing all these proactive solutions. The warriors are marching right alongside him, rooted in education, again, advocacy, and the big thing, community engagement. We need all of you. It is a national crisis. It's a national priority that we keep our kids safe online. Listen, the website's everybodysave.org and also keepitdigitallysafe.org. But don't worry, I will have everything laid out in the body of the video. You can take your time and read about it. And you know what, Erich? I just want to get right to it. So welcome back to the Warriors.
Well, thank you, Lynn. Thanks for having me. You have had a busy few weeks and going out and fighting the good fight. And so it is a pleasure and an honor for me to be able to be here with you, talking about our shared commitment to making the online world safer for everybody's kids, no matter where you live in the world.
Yeah. But you know, Erich, I must say thank you. And I will be calling you a warrior several times throughout because I really think you are a big warrior. I can't do my job, which is really honoring our hashtag community creates change without the work you do. So I can spread it. I can use it for education. I can go to DC or our state capital, Albany, and work on these issues. So right off the top, thank you for all of this you have done and are doing to help me be a better warrior. It's really unbelievable, all of the things you have done, and I know you have in the pipeline. So let me ask you something. I want to start with an email, if you don't mind. I was reading this morning your last email, and you left a tagline towards the bottom. I'm proud to stand with the realists in the world. I don't know why. That kind of fascinates me. I don't know why, Erich. It does. What do you mean by that?
So there's one of my favorite quotes is from David Ben Gurion. It's called "Anybody who doesn't believe in miracles isn't a realist." That's one of my favorite quotes. Is that it really sends a message that, sometimes in this world, the work that we do really requires you to believe in miracles, right? Yeah. And there's a lot of skepticism in the world that we live in. And I'm a big believer in miracles. That's not necessarily rooted in religion or faith, but I believe there are miracles in this world. And so I think when we look at making change, whether it's big change or small change, sometimes when you're up against significant obstacles and challenges, sometimes it feels like you need a miracle. And I think in order to continue to kind of make progress in things that we do, sometimes you got to have that miracle once or twice or maybe more. And so all of my favorite people in the world are people who believe in miracles, and therefore I consider them realists. And that's why I say the favorite people I like to hang out with are realists.
I like that, Eric. First of all, I consider meeting you a miracle. Really. It's just, we just kind of met, whatever,
Likewise.
coordinated coalitions come online. I also think, believe it or not, I agree with you. There are miracles. There's a lot of hope going on right now,
Mm-hmm.
despite everything, because we have to keep pushing. We have to just keep, with this digital safety, we have to address. But in the meantime, I always want to make sure that we point out, in the meantime, right now, I think, Eric, so much just in the last year, we're getting more people involved in these issues, more parents, more educators, more government, right? More of the people, right, who represent us, where the last few years it's been a little quiet on that. And I feel like it is a miracle. A lot of open doors these days, and we're pushing through them, and a lot of great things are happening. So I'm trying to always point out the hope. In addition, we can't ever give in or give up on everything else, because it's changing so fast online, digital. It's just
Yeah.
unbelievable. So let me ask you something. Why now? Why this, right? Kind of redundant, because I just finished that little speech I gave you. But okay, Eric, why right now? What lit the fire under you, I want to say, to launch Kids Keep It Digitally Safe right now, as opposed to maybe a year ago? Or maybe
Yeah.
you're thinking about it and thought, oh, I'll do it next year because I'm busy this year. Why right now?
That's a great question. We did think about it last year. So, if you may recall, the former Surgeon General had come out last year and said, we put labels on any number of things that are potentially harmful, right? We put labels on cigarettes, we put warning labels on alcohol, all sorts of things, right? And at the time, we had thought about launching some campaign or effort around warning labels. But at the time, if you may recall, we got so close to getting the Kids Online Safety
Oh,
Act
yes.
passed, right? So the US Senate had passed the bill 91-3, and we were queued up and teed up and ready and hopeful that the US House would do the same. And so at the time, we said, you know what, we need to keep our focus on getting the Kids Online Safety Act. We'll come back to this issue at another time. Unfortunately, the Kids Online Safety Act did not make it across the finish line. And so we decided we would launch this campaign. And really, the goal of the campaign, the Kids campaign, is to encourage a conversation around the harms of social media, that its impact on kids, right? The Kids campaign, it's really about people submitting their ideas for what warning labels could look like on social media. There's a scholarship attached to it. We've got, whoever wins this contest can win a $5,000, $3,000, or $2,000 educational scholarship. All of that's cool. All of that's fun. At the end of the day, the most important part of this is the work that you and I and others do, Lynn, which is raising awareness and amplifying the messages about the concerns that social media has had, and the danger that it presents to young people,
Yes.
and really the dangers that technology and online technology has had on our kids and continues to have, which is why we need to make sure that we have this conversation.
Yeah, you point out a couple of things. First of all, that was shocking about the Kids Online Safety Act. But I'm here to say, Eric, that is every office I went into last week. I was bringing up KOSA, Kids Online Safety Act, in addition to the App Store Accountability, Defiance Act, and I believe this is going to be passed. I just really, I'm going to say 99.9 in the very near future. So I'm going to leave that there. So that's very hopeful, right? It's very hopeful. A couple of weeks ago, we had the Take It Down Act that was signed into legislation. The first safety bill really since 1998. How shocking is that?
Yeah.
So there is this pushback on this big tech now, that you will be held responsible in some way, shape, or form, because they've proven to us. I don't even want to talk about it anymore, Eric. Like they just put profit over, human dignity. So it's like we all know it already. I don't even want to discuss they're bad, they're out of line. Like we have to solve this. We have to make changes. We have to come up to date with everything as we sit, right on top of AI, artificial intelligence. But what I love about the campaign, right, is that kids are involved. I'm always trying to get what we talk about, or I'm in Washington talking. We got to get that information out into the public. We have to get them to participate for them. That's always what I'm trying to do every single day. So I love this campaign because yes, you are being rewarded. There are scholarships, but it's artwork, it's getting the public involved. So hats off to you, Eric, because we need more of this. Like we need this flooding the markets, all kinds of getting the public involved in this. But let's be very real. Now that I said all of that, the digital danger is all over the place.
Yeah.
So predators are all over the platforms. What do you think right now? Somebody's listening. Maybe they just, what do you think the biggest threat right now is? There's so many of them, but what do you think is the biggest threat right now online?
I think the biggest threat, actually, I would argue, is not so much online, but it's the fact that I think that more adults and parents in particular really are not aware of the extent of these dangers. I had a conversation with somebody the other day. He said, "Oh, everybody knows what's going on online." Everybody doesn't know what's going on online, and parents in particular do not have the breadth of knowledge and understanding of just how significant these harms are. I mean, we talk about social media platforms, Lynn, and you brought up, I mean, we're talking about things that are exponentially getting worse, things like AI and chatbots and things like this that, we haven't even gotten yet to the place of making sure that parents can be having a conversation with their young people and their families, and making them aware not only of the harms that are on those platforms, but making sure that their kids know that if they encounter these dangers, that those kids need to come to the parents,
Yes.
right? So I would argue that I think the dangers are so widespread. I think it's nearly impossible to point your finger at one specific danger. Other than, I think the greatest danger we face is a lack of knowledge and understanding by parents and adults as to just how ubiquitous these harms are, right? This isn't just, kids, doing quote kids things, right? These are kids being targeted and tracked and stalked by adults, right? By people who intend to do them harm, who are looking to make money off of them, who are looking to sextort them and traffic them, right? Bully them, sell them illegal drugs that are laced with fentanyl and kill them. That, I think, to me, is the greatest danger today, is a lack of knowledge and understanding of just how far-reaching and ubiquitous these dangers are to kids.
Yeah, actually, Eric, that's an excellent answer because that's the thing I encounter on a daily basis. I will get a response. I didn't hear about that. I don't know about that. Not my kid. So, there's a lot of information out there, a lot of organizations, nonprofits, there's things even in the media. We talk about it. Why is it so hard? And I'm not kidding. I know that's like a kind of a loaded question because listen, my kids are all in their 30s. They miss the internet, kind of this digital bubble, because I like to say like 30 and under. They were born into this captivity. Like it's not their fault. They were used as the guinea pigs. It was thrown at them, kind of thing. It was thrown at the parents, right? Thrown at the families. Okay, but now we have a little more knowledge, raising awareness. Even the first lady lending her presence and her name to take it down, act like her, don't like her. It's a big deal. When you get the White House, you get Washington involved. Anything with children, don't you think I think Eric would just want to know everything they could know about this. If you're going to buy the phone or you're going to buy the tablet or the iPad, like know what's going on. I find it so hard to believe people are still totally in the dark, right? They don't have to know answers, but there's plenty of resources they can go to. There's a lot of free information out there. Why is there, I can't figure out why people put the blinders on about this.
I just think there's a lot going on in the world, Lynn. I think that's part of the challenge, right? And so you and I belong to any number of different coalitions, right? I
Right.
mean, I'm on 3 or 4 phone calls a week with 3 or 4 different coalition groups on
Yes.
this legislation, that legislation, this public policy, and that kind of thing. There are times when, for me, it gets exhausting, right? Because it's hard to keep track of all that. So imagine if you are a parent who's just trying to get through the week, right? You got to go to your job, you got to get your kid off to school, and then somebody's telling you that you also need to be aware of all of these individual harms on every single one of these platforms, and in addition to that, just kind of live life. I think that's really daunting. I think of parents today as having a much more difficult job than parents of my parents'
Oh,
generation had, right?
definitely.
I think
Definitely.
it is much more onerous, much more difficult. And so I think that parents get overwhelmed. Part of one of the things that I'm hoping that we accomplish with the kids campaign is to break down for parents not all the different legislative initiatives and topic areas, but simply give them the ability to say, you know what, you've got to talk to your kids about what platforms they're on, what they're doing on those platforms, and above all else, tell your kids, I am here to listen. I am here as a resource. I will not judge you. I will not add additional burden on you if there is some danger you encounter on these platforms. I have a 24-year-old and a 22-year-old, right? So my 22-year-old daughter, we had dinner last night, and every time we get out together, I ask her the question that makes her want to punch her dad in the nose, right? Which is, how are you doing? Are you thinking about hurting yourself? Are you thought about suicide, right? It's something that is not a natural conversation that most parents typically have with your kid. But you know what? You have to. And you have to have conversations with your teenage kids and your pre-teenage kids about what are the things that you're seeing on TikTok? What are the things that you're seeing on Instagram? Do you have people reaching out to you? Do you have people you don't know saying that they're your friend? You have to have those conversations, because nothing else out there that you need to know other than this important truth. You are your child's protector. You are your child's warrior. You are responsible for protecting them and understanding what kind of engagement they're having out there on social media. And it's your job to be their ally and advocate, and to not only ask them what's going on, but to also let them know that you will never ever judge them, you will never criticize them, you will never hold them responsible or make them feel guilty for something bad that happens to them on social media.
Yeah. I love that. And we're not judging warriors. We are just bringing you what we need you to do, and we want to
Mm-hmm.
help you with that. We want to do the heavy lifting. That's the way, I kind of look at it, Eric. I want to just hand it to everybody, kind of, because we know everybody's overwhelmed and busy and thinking about money and all those things. But also, Eric, my sons are grown men, and I still say, don't pick up phone numbers you don't recognize, or people DMing you like, and then I forget they're not in the fifth grade, and then I see these men, and I'm like, oh. But I still do it. I think we have to do it no matter what ages, and
Yeah,
because I have every security feature you can have on my phone, and Eric, I get weird stuff.
yeah.
So we all, this is the age we live in. I want to go back to something you said. I think it's very important with the work you do, what's happening now online with our kids, that our former Surgeon General, Dr. Murthy, he did put out, as I can recall, two different. One was a youth mental health. He was very afraid for everybody. And then he put something else out, maybe like a year later, again along those lines. But mental health and online safety are no longer separate issues. I really think they go hand in
Mhm.
hand. We have studies that show us this.
Yeah.
So tell us about the kids campaign. How is it tackling that end of all of this?
Yeah. So the upside is, Lynn, you, along with SAVE and almost 40 other organizations from 6 continents, are out there kind of sharing information about what the harms are that are out there on social media. We're out there talking to policymakers. I was just sharing with you that here in Minnesota, where we're based, we have a bill working through the legislature actually today that will require warning labels in the state of Minnesota. We're
Oh,
seeing
good.
warning label legislation making progress or passing in places like California and Texas and New York, and so the key here is to keep that conversation going about why we need to be able to make it clear to parents what these online harms are. And here's the piece, I'll say this, Lynn, I don't for a moment believe that warning labels are the end all be all solution here. All the other bills that you're working on, that we're working on alongside you and others are working on, are all a part of what I would call a tapestry of approaches that we need to have in order to protect kids online. What we do know, though, is that there are activities going on social media that our kids are finding themselves embroiled with, that parents need to know that are happening. You and I both are working with parents who've lost kids to suicide, parents who've lost kids to choking games, right? I mean, can you imagine the idea that any child in this country or anywhere in the world should die because of a viral game that encourages people to choke themselves? And that big tech knows that this happens and washes their hands of this obligation. We have parents all across the country whose kids have bought illegal drugs on Snapchat, right? On Snapchat, and then literally died with that pill in their mouth because it was so heavily laced with fentanyl that they didn't even swallow the pill. That's how dangerous this is. And these are not isolated instances.
Right.
These are happening every day, everywhere around the world. And so the Kids Campaign is intending to send this message across the world. This is not something unique to the United States. It's not unique to the Western world. It's happening in places like Africa. It's happening in places like South America. It's happening in the UK and Australia. It's happening in every state in this country. And so part of our message here is to tell people that every click has a consequence, and it's time that we label the risk.
I don't know, Eric. People don't like to do, let's be real here, a lot of reading, a lot of research. They really want things handed to them. That's okay, right? I think warning labels will create a tremendous impact because
Mhm.
I think people are visual. It's like an easy short message, a warning label, right? They don't have to dig in too deep about that. I think very impactful. Well, I'll stay on the other side of my brain. I just don't know why it really hasn't been done already. There are solutions to everything we talk about, right? There
Yeah.
are solutions. It's getting them enacted, right? So I'm not understanding. Well, I'll save that for another program. Why all
Well,
the, anything with kids is so tough. I mean, we did the
yeah.
seatbelts and the helmets and don't drink and drive and don't take drugs. And yet the kids with 2 clicks on Snap are like having DoorDash deliver them to their front door because that's true, you know?
I mean, if you think about the opposition to things like seatbelts, right? Think about so we're seeing the same playbook play itself out today with big tech, right? Is that the opposition to warning labels on cigarettes, right, for years and years and years was being led by big tobacco. The opposition to seatbelts was led by big auto. When we look at things like the opioid epidemic, right? Opposition to addressing that was led by big pharma. And as we look at the changes in the regulatory environment that you and I and other people know need to be implemented on social media platforms, the opposition is being led by big tech. And the difference is that big tech today has their fingers in just about every facet of American life and government power and politics. I've shared this, and I don't know if I've shared this with you before, Lynn, but prior to my arrival at SAVE, our organization used to take a lot of money from big tech, right? A lot of money from big tech, and would go support them, would go out and speak against legislation that big tech didn't support. We no longer take a dime from big tech companies, because you can't, on one hand, say that there are these harms that their products are creating, and on the other hand, take their money. And that's the scenario we're living with today, is that big tech hires lobbyists at every level of government. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars to obfuscate, to mislead, and to help defeat these bills that you and I and so many others know we need to have in order to protect kids. They're doing the same thing on warning labels. They did the same thing with the Kids Online Safety Act. They're doing the same thing across the country on age-appropriate design code bills. It goes on and on and on. Our biggest fight at the end of the day, beyond making sure parents understand what the risks are, is big tech.
Well, that's a tough one, Eric. They rule the roost. They have a lot of money, and I'm tired of people behind the scenes will whisper to me like, "Oh, big tech, they have all the money." I'm glad you pointed out, because I'll let it go. But big tech is putting money behind, I have found out, some groups I never would have thought, and they're taking it.
Yeah.
And I actually just found out last week about a group, and I'm still in shock. Because it's everything we fight for. I understand everybody needs money. Money makes the world go round. I got it. I'm a big girl. But Eric, I'm still not getting over it. But I keep thinking about, for instance, let's go back a little bit. I have a dad flying in tomorrow whose son, victim of sextortion. And he's flying here to give a speech, but, we're meeting up. And great parents, great school, great kids. Within an hour and a half, I believe, from the time they said goodnight to him until the time his sister found him. Because I'm telling you this also because, and I didn't realize this till fairly recently, Eric, the cyberbullying from these like organized crime rings that go after the kids is so intense. It's like such a psychological damage, like this incredible warfare on their brains where they just can't take it. So I want to point that out. I want to get a little more into cyberbullying. I did not even realize the tremendous what they're doing. These crime rings, they're just bullying the kids to death, which is so horrific. So getting back to what you said, again, communication with the kids. Like no matter what they do, we got to just be there for them. And they have to know they can come to us no matter what it is. Because so much is happening with our youth. And, Eric, I keep thinking those are our future adults, our future leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And they're being decimated by this big tech. But I don't know, Eric, until we kick Section 230 to the curb, it's going to be tough. That's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think there are some clear obstacles and impediments. And as you well know, Section 230 essentially gives a blank check to big tech to not be held accountable for the harms that their products create, right? So they hide behind the argument that everything that you do and say and on social media is protected free speech. I don't know that anybody envisioned that selling illegal drugs to a 12-year-old was protected free speech. I don't know that anybody envisioned that a 13-year-old boy being sextorted by an adult, causing them to go kill themselves because they were so despondent that that their life was over, that anybody envisioned that to be protected free speech. Sextortion, sex trafficking, right? I don't know that anybody reasonably went to themselves, we should consider that protected free speech, that our kids should be victimized. Our kids should find themselves suicidal. Our kids should find themselves traumatized. And that the trade-off is that that's the result of free speech. And that's what Section 230 essentially provides to big tech today, as you well know, is that it gives them that umbrella to argue that no matter what happens, no matter what happens, that they are protected and shielded by Section 230. There's no liability, there's no obligation to fix anything. And I got to tell you, I think our kids are going to judge us harshly for our inability to fix this if we don't get it done sooner rather than later.
Eric, there are groups of young people in their 20s now coming together that are pushing back.
Absolutely.
That do. When I used guinea pigs earlier, I got it from them. It's snowballing a little bit. Like they feel like this was just thrown at us. We didn't know, and they're fighting back. There are a couple of good groups now, and it's building. They are angry.
Yeah.
They are angry this has been allowed, but a lot of them are angry they've turned it into action. So that's, educating, their younger siblings, younger people. They don't want, alpha generation to go through what they've gone through. So that's good. They're waking up. But we have started working with a lot of terrific young people. I'm so proud of them across the country that are really, from all walks of life, right? And they're doing amazing work. And I'm so proud of them. I am really so proud of them because they're really taking action and teaching other kids. So that's part of our miracles, and hopeful that we've got that going on, and we have to do everything in our power to support them, empower them, give them praise and things like that. Tell us what to expect on June 15th. Not only is it Father's Day.
Yeah. So June
Happy
15th,
Father's Day to you, but tell
you.
us about that day. It's a big day. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we launched a week ago a campaign that you're a part of, and the other groups that are part of the kids campaign, where we're basically calling Father's Day Global Warning Label Day. And while Father's Day isn't celebrated on the same day in every place across the world, it is a good touchstone. It is an opportunity for us to use that day to say, look, send a message, one, to big tech and say, you know what? A lot of you who lead these companies are parents. A lot of you are fathers, right? You care about your kids, like all of us who have kids care about our own kids, right? And what better day to highlight the need for warning labels than on Father's Day, and send a message to the big tech companies of the world and their leaders, many again who are parents, to say, you know what? We care about our kids in the same way you care about yours. And so join with us and agree and encourage and push to have warning labels on these social media platforms anywhere in the world, not just here in the United States, but anywhere in the world. So our hope is that a lot of our partners are going to post information about why we need warning labels. We'll post information about the kids campaign and how you can get involved with it. But it gives us a date, right? A touchstone to be able to rally around and say, all of us, no matter where in the world we live, where we raise our kids, where we do our work, are all on the same page, that there ought to be a warning label on these products anywhere in the world, so that every child, no matter where you live, is given the best chance to have a safe online experience.
Yes, and we'll make sure the Warriors will be posting starting right after this all throughout the week, so everybody can utilize. It'll be on our website as well. More take actions. But Eric, after June 15th, we have to keep up the pressure. So what are your hopes for instance, do you ever think about a year from now or 5 years from now with all of this? It's kind of a big question, but
yeah. My hope is the warning label campaign, in addition to leading to more conversations with parents and kids, serves as a leverage tool to help get bills like the Kids Online Safety Act passed. My hope is that we continue to keep this conversation going. There is not one bill that's going to solve everything. There is not one piece of legislation that will solve everything. Repealing Section 230, I think, will have a big impact. At some point, I think we need to focus on that. But here's what I hope more than anything else. I think we need to educate the next generation, or the current generation of young people and their parents, about online literacy, digital literacy. In the same way that we tell people, if you want to get a driver's license, you got to go through and get trained, you got to learn how to drive a car. while I don't know that we need to be providing a license to people to be on social media and on the internet, I think we've got to teach kids responsible digital media utilization. We've got to teach kids about how they AI. We haven't even gotten into that conversation, right, Lynn? I think we need to be teaching kids and parents and teachers and policymakers about, yes, there are some positive benefits as we see the emergence of AI, but let's not delude ourselves that it's all hunky dory. There are some really scary, significant harms that we're already seeing from AI, chatbots, and things like that. I think one of the best things we could do in this country, and really do this anywhere in the world, is that require that every child take some type of online digital training program so that they learn how to harness the power of the internet and social media and AI, but are also well versed in what the harms are and how to protect themselves. I think if anything else that I think we accomplish in the next year or so, if we can accomplish that, I think we will have done remarkable work in protecting future generations of young people.
Eric, how would we do that? I mean, there are some schools now, they have programs across the country. There are parents and family members doing it on their own, but collectively, like we have to come together. Why wouldn't, do you think it should be part of the school curriculum?
Yeah, I
I
absolutely do.
do, but I'm always like, how
100%.
do we enforce that across the country?
I think that's a good question. The one of the challenges, about trying to nationalize, if you will, education policies, you get into a lot of fights about whether
Yeah.
that's the appropriate role of federal policymakers. I think this is going to ultimately have to be a state by state initiative. I think there has to be a national consensus, Lynn, that this has to be a part of every school curriculum, right? I think national policymakers, I think the president of the United States has a bully pulpit to say there needs to be a national consensus that we cannot have another generation of American children come out of schools without having had a robust, comprehensive educational curriculum that teaches them how to use technology tools effectively, how to use them safely.
Yeah. I mean, to me, Eric, it's so much more important than geometry. Kind of, you're
I think
the,
everything is much more important than geometry.
I
So I
don't know.
don't
I
think
just had a flashback to well, actually I was in high school, a flashback to being a sophomore doing those proofs or something. I don't know what was going on. Those proofs of the I don't know why I just thought of that when you were talking, but I'm like, what I don't think that served me in life at all. But the digital safety is absolutely a must. We don't need any more studies or stats, even like
that's
we
right.
know it's here, it's overdue. So I think the takeaways are, keep raising awareness, keep up with the digital education, keep up with policy, keep up with everything you're doing. Fill us in with some final thoughts. What would you like to say?
One of the words that you mentioned at the very beginning of this conversation was hope.
Yes.
And I will tell you that I think that we live in a time and a place where hope is an incredibly powerful tool
Mm-hmm.
in so many different ways. We know that one of the greatest assets in suicide prevention is talking about hope and making sure that people understand that you're not alone, that there are people out there to help support you. There are resources like 988. I would tell you that the biggest message I would tell anybody that's in this fight, that's all of your warriors, Lynn, all of those folks that are partners in the kids campaign, and any parent that is out there working to make the online world a safer place. There is hope. There are miracles. We should all be realists.
Yeah, we have to all lean into that.
Yeah.
We have to all because Eric, I really started in January. I'm not kidding. I'm pretty positive anyway, most of the time. Discount any prior conversations we had offline where I was like, but I am like more of a cheerleader. Um, but I just started manifesting. I'm not kidding. Like this positivity every morning, like it is going to be positive. It actually really puts you in a different mindset
Yeah.
for the day. to just start the day like that, at least you're acknowledging it. And if that's half the battle, and you're just saying you're going to be. And I also like that you brought out, there is a lot of help out there.
Mhm.
Nobody's alone, really, right? There's something for everybody. We can figure all of that out. You pointed out 988. And there are a lot of resources and a lot of, we always try at the Warriors to give free things. We don't want to burden anybody financially. There are a lot of free resources. But you got to join us, everybody, and really become that warrior. And then our ask is always to share information, share
That's
this
right.
video. If you do one thing, share the video or share 988. Everybody can do one thing a day. I really believe that, Eric. Very simply, you can re-X or retweet, whatever we're calling it these days. You can share something on Facebook. If not, everybody can do something. You can talk to your child. You can talk to your neighbor, So I'm a firm believer we live in a new environment where everybody really must answer this call, to duty actually, and do something to protect our kids, protect our families, protect all of us. And it's also basically, even though we talk about Washington and policy, it's really nonpartisan, belongs to no political party. This is safety of our children. Everybody should be getting on board with us. So, Erich Mische, I can't thank you enough. I mean, you truly are a warrior. Your dedication, your commitment to keeping kids safe. June 15th, well, we will be wishing you a happy Father's Day, a couple of days early, but we want you to enjoy your day. And also, keep it digitally safe.org, safe.org. I'll have everything in the body of the video so everybody can take their time and read about this. But we want everybody, join me, Eric. We really want everybody to become a warrior in this and keep this. This is a very critical and crucial issue, all of these. And we know it's overwhelming. And we know it's tough to address and everybody's busy. But we're going to do the work for you. So just share our information or read our information or reach out. I always put contact information in the body of the video. And just let's keep going, Eric. Thank you so much. You're such a warrior. And we must speak again soon because our next discussion must be, we're going to have to go right into we're going to follow up on this to remind everybody about the campaign. But also we got to talk about AI, artificial intelligence, because I really want to sort of brainwash. We're here already. And we have too many of these chatbot stories coming at me every day. And the parents haven't even gotten, and the kids, their heads around all of this, what we're talking about. We need to step it up on that. So that'll be our next episode we'll do together, Eric. But thank you so much for joining me, always taking the time. And you're a warrior. What else can I say?
Keep up the fight, Lynn. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. I'll talk to you soon.